everybody. How are you this week? I am Lisa and welcome to The Search. If this is your first time, welcome, and I am excited to have you. I hope today, after looking at our episode, you decide to subscribe and make sure to also hit the notification and like it. It always helps us with growing, and always leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it. To all my returnees, thank you, my search warriors, as together we are hoping to continue to grow and help bring justice to crimes that we talk about and the families. So let's get started with today. It is a different type. I have never done this, but there is something going on in the news that I have been passionate about reading, waiting, and I am not usually one that touches on things that are going on ASAP right now, but I am today because I've got some reasons why that I will discuss. Let's go. Let's talk about it because this is The Search like no other. Our story today is going to be talking about the Rachel Morin case. Now, if you are a true crime person or you watch the news, you've probably heard of this case and the breaking news that is happening right now. But before I get to that part, if you are not, and there is a lot because people right now with everything going on, getting back from the news, it's triggering them. I know people personally that do not watch the news, and it's understandable. Although we need to know what's going on, it is understandable. So, anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about Rachel before we get into what's going on right now. And I just kind of want to just talk about her because this is what today, it is about her and the other victims involved. Rachel was born May 20th, 1986 in New Hampshire. Rachel was always the person of spreading joy, of being that uplifter, that person when she walks in the room, she just brightens up the room. I know that we say this about other victims, and I find that this is true for all of them. And why this is a similarity, that's for you to decide. She had 5 beautiful children. 5. Their names were Faye, Violet, Octavia, Declan, and Lila. Beyond being a mom, she had a lot of extracurricular activities. She was very much into fitness. She loved the outdoors, the arts, the fashions, photographies. She just loved life. She was very active to be so busy, and she was a single mom, guys, at the time, doing her thing and looked great doing it. Like I said, health was a big thing to her. And that will lead to what we're kind of gonna move to of what happened to her actually involved when she was just trying to stay healthy. The one thing I want to tell you about her being a fitness enthusiast, she traveled around doing things. She actually visited like Miami, Aruba, Las Vegas, New England. She was busy. So on the Saturday evening of August 5th, Rachel decided that she was going to go out for an evening walk along the Mampaw Heritage Trail. And she did this often. Now, this is a place in Bel Air, which is 30 minutes, I think, from the Baltimore area. Everybody that I have heard talk about this place, everybody on the news recently, that this was like the safest place. We'll get into that later. Nobody ever blinked an eye of going in these areas and running and hiking and trails and walking the trails. Very safe area. The trail is a scenic 6.25-mile multi-paths and varying terrain. So you could go different areas, of course, all leading. I know there was different parking places, things like that. But 6 miles. Parts of the path are either paved, decked over within the woods. But that night, Rachel never returned home. When she didn't get home, and I will say, like I said, she was a single mom, but she had been recently dating a new guy by the name of Richard Tobin. Well, when she didn't return back home and couldn't reach her. He reported her as missing to the police. I want to say it was around 11. This is August 5th, 2023. So before midnight, he was reporting in. After reporting, the next day they had went out and were looking. It was reported late that night. So of course they went in there to start looking, doing what they could. And I'm going to tell you, the family was out right away, looking, searching, getting involved right away to see, what was going on. Where was she at? No way would she leave 5 children. Not this lovely, spirited, high energy. No way. This was not acceptable, and the family was not waiting for anybody to get started. They were on it. The next day, an organized search was put together when a woman was discovered, a body inside a drainage tunnel. And unfortunately, guys, she was later identified as Rachel. She was only missing 24 hours at that, and they found her. So guys, I kind of want to just get into this of what's going on. So, like I said, she was a beautiful woman, full of life. I even want to read something that was in her obituary. I actually had found reading a few articles, and I thought, this was something I wanted to share. And I put all my details in my description as well, where you can find information at. She had a special knack for making people laugh. Rachel's obituary reads, "Her presence was the joy she showed, and her smile the light in the room. She was deeply devoted to her faith, which was a guiding force throughout her life." I think that really speaks volumes about her, when people really go the extra mile to put great things in their obituaries, because those are some of the last things people are going to read. Unfortunately, people move on, so you want to leave a really lasting impression. Moving forward, the officers did not want to discuss too much of what was going on at the time as far as how she was murdered. There's always certain information they hold back. We know that. At the time, this was really, it caught on to big media, okay? It was all over nationwide. People were talking about it.
Police have no suspects or motive. They will only say the body showed obvious signs of trauma. They're hoping autopsy results will help them find her killer.
Why in this safe neighborhood somewhere, kids and families and nothing had happened. There was one other crime, I will bring this up later, that has happened. They were able to get a DNA, a sample, okay? And on August 17th, they collected DNA from the crime scene, and it was analyzed at the Maryland State Police and entered into the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS. The evidence is matched to DNA collected from a matched home invasion and assault on a young girl in LA, Los Angeles. Now, so this is in Bel Air, Maryland. They've got a hit in Los Angeles. This is a good thing because they have a match, but they do not have a name or a face. Just a match stating that this guy has done another crime, okay? So right now, we don't know what all has happened in California, but I want to tell you right away, Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, who was the sheriff there in Bel Air, he definitely started working with LA, letting them know, okay, we've got this match. Let's start working together on this. At the time, that was all that they had, was this on August 17th, and which wasn't long. So that tells you they were moving fast as they could. But unfortunately, they did not have a picture of him or anything, just the DNA. So basically, in order to connect it, they have to have the actual suspect with his DNA. If he gets in trouble and gets arrested, something has to happen, right? Like in order to get it. Genealogy, they use those. Something else has to happen. If I'm not on record anywhere, I could go do things at 5 different places. It's going to say, okay, this DNA has been 5 different places, but we don't have anything else. So you understand, sometimes people get a little confused about that. Just because they have a DNA does not mean that they can make all these connections, but it helps. And especially if a person is caught, that is where they can catch and confirm things. So it definitely gives hope. Now, I want to tell y'all, in October, investigators actually talked to someone in DC. So, the evidence related to the crimes leads the investigators to the DC metro area. They interview somebody, okay, they don't say, but they are relevant to the investigation. The individual is not a suspect, but someone who has information to potentially identifying the person, okay? And the reason is they were able to get him seen on a doorbell camera footage. So, okay, guys, this is in October. Crimes in August. Then the 17th of August, they get the DNA back. Then someone they speak with, they don't say how, other than they're not a suspect. We now get some film footage from a doorbell ring. And this is not a face, but we now are seeing a height. We are seeing that he is Hispanic. Things are starting to build up, but yet we have no name. So there was already a reward out for 10,000. This now had been raised in October up to $30,000. All law enforcement of all different branches, they were working around the clock. The people in the neighborhoods, the community, the family could not express how much help people were and how caring they were. Rachel's sister spoke so kindly of the people around her, of their family members, and all she could do was just keep her eye on the goal, keeping care of those children, all 5, and finding who did this to her sister. The Morin family, they went and they took flyers to LA. They went everywhere. They went to different homes. They said almost 8, 10, 12,000 homes, okay, out there distributing flyers. I believe they said they put them in English and in Spanish. So if anybody's seen anything, I mean, they were hitting the ground. Do I tell you they were hitting the ground? So remember, this guy has been out there in Maryland and he's been out there in LA. I'm trying to kind of keep it on a timeline. It's a lot to it, and I don't want to mess up any facts. I just want to kind of take you back to what happened, because this is so important to what's going on now. So I will speed it up, but I just want to give you some details of how we got to this past week. One thing I want to tell you, by this happening to Rachel, the end of November, I believe it was after Thanksgiving, that the Hartford County, which is where where it happened in the county, had actually begun installation of AI video cameras on the hiking trails where Rachel Morin was actually murdered. The systems will include, I believe, over 20 cameras and cover about 2 to 3 miles. But basically, ability to identify if anyone is being attacked, whether the gun is in a frame. All that was supposed to be completed, I think, in February or March. This is how active they are. They are constantly, while they're waiting to try to find out, they are moving steadily. After kind of getting a point of what's been going on, and the family is constantly trying to find out what happened. There's a lot of people covering things on the internet. saying things, and the officers even speak about this a little bit. There was things that were mentioned that absolutely weren't true. They purposely did not mention certain things, like what all did happen to Rachel, because they wanted the person that did it to slip. Only the person that did it would know. And that is the thing about people covering right up to date trending cases, because they change daily. So I've really never covered one exactly on the date. I try to be able to go off facts, but this one really rang in my heart. Many do, and I just said, Lisa, jump out there because of what we have found needs to be discussed. And I've done a lot of awareness for the last 7 to 8 years. With that being said, while all this is going on, the officers, the FBI, everybody have been working behind the scenes that we don't see, and the family unfortunately has been working as much as they can, trying to advocate everything they can, bring awareness to things. They got cameras set in, raising funds. The community is doing things like they're working it. So when I tell you that the FBI and the different agencies were going places, they were traveling everywhere trying to find where this person is at. They said they had 300 leads come in like at one time after they announced something. They follow everything. They had one time were down in Ecuador area. They were over the borders. There was very much a lot of work going into what just came in on Friday night. The family was out in Los Angeles and other people were out like looking and searching. There had been tips that had come in about this person that they had already released the doorbell cut footage. So people had seen and kind of thought they recognized what he looked like, his height and all that. Then there was an actual hat that people thought that he wore. There was actually a hat taken from the scene of Rachel's, and that is actually where DNA came from. So they had a new sketch of what he looked like in this. Now, people are starting to realize, and they do not say where exactly the tip comes in from, but from what I have understood in the news in the last couple days, that it is not from a particular person, that it is kind of like putting everything together. I am not sure of that. That is all allegedly and will all eventually come out day after day. But what I wanted to bring you is that on Friday night, due to these tips, they were able, after 10 months of searching for this suspect, investigators said that they caught the man who allegedly, we have to say allegedly, murdered Rachel. The FBI attributes the arrest to DNA evidence and old-fashioned detective work. Tracking down the undocumented suspect, local police and FBI arrested Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Victor, okay? He is an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. He is actually on the run from El Salvador for a murder, allegedly. All this is allegedly. He did not come to America for a better life. He started with what we first know of March, when he attacked a 9-year-old and her mother in Los Angeles. That is where they were able to start making the ties. He then made his way all the way from California to Maryland, and that is where he committed the murder, allegedly, of Rachel Morin. It later come out that she was raped and murdered. This is a monster, okay? This is a monster that did this. Now, everybody's fighting. What do we do with him? Because he's first wanted in El Salvador for the murders there. Well, however they do it, like he says, no, I don't, you don't go back. Like he, I guess, denied. I don't know the exact word. Basically, he is at the mercy of the United States. They're not going to take him back there. basically how he was picked up, and the family was actually told a few hours before, but they were not allowed to say anything. They were told that they knew of where he was at and that they were on the way to go get him. You would think someone that had done the things he had done would at least be hiding out somewhere or being very cautious. No, he was sitting in a bar enjoying his newfound freedom. Yeah, well, that's gone. It's been very busy these last few days. I have really had to figure out how to tell this because I have not done this because I have to be very careful. I am one, I never want to put out anything wrong, yet I still want to bring awareness to the subject at hand. And also, I will tell you while watching many news stations on this, and I'm going to tell you that there is a strong talking about the border control. I won't get all into that, but I want you to know that this would not have happened by him if we would have better control at our border. People are very angry at that also. He wasn't here for a better life. I felt compelled to talk about this story, even if I didn't have all the facts of it together yet. It's developing as I'm talking right now. But I want you to know that they got him. They've got him, and that Rachel is going to get justice, allegedly. But one thing I want to say is, yes, they get justice, but they don't get Rachel back. Those 5 babies do not get a mother back. She was in one of the safest areas where nothing like this has happened. And the only other one that happened was also to the same type of crime. So a place that has never had any crime now has had 2 crimes due to illegal immigrants that were here for no good. I want to say it like that. But for now, we're going to focus that we have found justice. The reason I want to put this out even more is because you will be found. You will be found. They are working on this. It took a little time, but it worked. And in 9 months, it found him. One other reason I wanted to do this, because one thing they are saying in the news, the families are saying that they want people to hear this because 10 months has gone by. He's been in the country at least since last March. The first 9-year-old who is always going to have some sort of PTSD and the mom of what they went through, but they are warriors and they are survivors. And luckily, they were able to capture some DNA to compare. So they were such big helps. And amen to them, okay? Amen to them. That family is so special. I unfortunately do not know a whole lot about those people in Los Angeles, but I have said many prayers for all of them. Although we find justice, we don't get them back. It is somewhat of a closure, but these things go on. This is just the beginning, is getting him off the street.
He's just a horrible person that needs to never set foot into a free world again. He needs to be behind bars his whole life, and I want him to live a very long life and hate every single second of that long life.
So what I want to say is, he's been here a while, and I can't believe, and I think a lot of people are saying this too, that he maybe did not do anything from August till now. Maybe he didn't, and let's hope he didn't. But guys, he is caught, and if you feel now knowing what he looks like, that you have come across him and you have had an altercation, you were lucky to get away, you know where he's been at, you have seen him. I'm going to leave all the information below so that you can let the police officers know anything else that can help with these cases, because they're still up against some things, and we're going to continue to hear this develop. But I wanted to just today remind people of who Rachel was, who Rachel will always be. I want to remind you of the lovely children and family that she has left behind, the great life that she was trying to thrive and be, the family in LA that are still going to have to live with that scary night that they experienced. And to let you know, Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez is off our streets. So a big handout to our law enforcement and to everybody at all levels that were involved. So at the end of every search, I do a ribbon of prayer, and that ribbon represents finding justice or seeking and searching for justice. And tonight, guys, we have justice for Rachel Morin. I know tonight was a little different. I even searched for words of how to deliver, and sometimes I just have to do it. I just have to do it. And if I fumble, I fumble. But I feel like my heart's in the right place. So guys, this concludes the search. There is many avenues that we can discuss. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you think. And I will see you on the next search. Thank you, everybody. Good night.